Thank you for joining us today for this podcast of Resilience Behind the Walls. During our podcast today, we're going to focus on the carceral system's impact on the youth in our Black and Brown communities. Today with us, we have a young brother who is willing to share his experience and perspective during his time of incarceration. Again, thank you for joining us. Can you tell our viewers your name?
My name is Tyree, Bundy, and I'm happy to be here.
We appreciate you coming here today. I know you spent some time behind the walls, and when you did that, you were a teenager when you were sentenced. I remember when this actually first happened, and so I want to get to your experience, but I just wanted to say, as a mother and as a family member, as we are, it was very hurtful for me to see how they try to villainize you in the media. And it's very important for us today for you to be able to share your story and your experience. So I'm very thankful for you coming in today. Can you tell us what it was like for you when you entered behind the walls?
So it was crazy. It was actually when I first got there, first got arrested, it was unreal. Like I was like, wow, like I'm really going to jail at 17. Like I was like, my life is over. So I couldn't it took me a couple of days to really understand what was really going on, how severe that I messed up. So I was stressing. I was like, dang, I ain't never gonna see my family. I was like, it's over. Off for one mistake of being a follower. So they put the cuffs on me. I was like, oh man, I don't know how to. I can't describe how I felt. It was bad. Stressing me. Cried a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a tough guy, but I cried a lot. But for the most part, it was just devastation. I was like, damn, it's over.
Yeah, I hear you. And you know what? Tough guys do cry. I think for you to be able to express yourself, we need to let folks know, in our community, it's okay to express yourself. And sometimes that is in a way of tears and hurt and devastation.
Absolutely.
I'm just thinking about your age, thinking about how did you have to, we were talking about adapting. So what was one of the things, as far as you said, in one moment things changed?
Yeah, when you gotta adapt in jail at 17, it was crazy because you're used to being free, walking, being able to go to school, stuff like that. So for that one choice that I made changed my whole life to the point where I got somebody tell me you gotta wake up. You gotta go eat food at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And you're like, I don't usually eat lunch until 1, 2 o'clock. But they're saying you have to eat or you don't eat. So it's with that being said, it's people don't really understand that one mistake can really change everything. Your perspective, your whole being as a person. Because either you're gonna sink by staying the same person, you're gonna change, whether you're for the good or the worse. Mm-hmm. So I had to make a decision of adapting to my situation, or else I was gonna drown. Because other than that, I was a good hard kid. I was basketball, game, all that stuff. But jail's not like that. It's literally you gotta hunt or be hunted type thing. Survival of the fittest. It was that type of thing at 17. I had to figure it out. Oh man, am I gonna let this dude take my lunch or take my commissary or I'm gonna defend myself? Now you're gonna take my food. So it was hard at 17. It was very hard. To this day, that's the thing. I don't know how to survive. Some people ask me, how did you survive? I'm you gotta make a choice. It's you or them. And I picked me all the time.
That's what's up. And I know, and I've heard from people, it's just this dual part of yourself, right? So you talked about that, about changing, you know what I mean, to survival of the fittest. So you went in, you're this basketball star, you're doing this, funny kid, doing all the things that you did, but going into a space that you said is to hunt or be hunted. there's this duality of yourself, and so you had to shift. I'm just thinking about, what does that do to your mind, your spirit, your body? Like, you know what I mean?
It's strenuous because it's like you gotta make a decision at 17, 19 years old, between that age, like, am I gonna be aggressive towards this person because they're saying something I don't like, versus you being home, like, I could let that go, or I could just walk away. Because sometimes situations in jail, at that age, you got other kids in there around your age that like conflict, because that's the only way they can express themselves. So they're looking at you like, oh, you knew I want your commissary. So I seen kids fall to that. Like, I seen somebody get their shoes taken. He was just turned 18. The dude was like 20, probably 30 years old. I want your sneakers. The kid folded because he didn't want to give a part of himself that he's used to being back home. So he's a loving kid. He just got caught up with something, with his being a follower, like, oh, I'm gonna follow my friends. He got to a situation that he wasn't ready for. I wasn't either, but he fell to the people that was preying on him, like, oh, get your shoes. The kid gave him his shoes because he didn't want to give a part of himself to survive. Some people are not willing to do that at a young age. I'm not saying like that was me off the rip, but once I see how things work, it's like you gotta give them something to survive. But you're still gonna be you, just a little bit with the edge to it. So you're fighting like both of you. Okay, I'm still gonna be that good, hardy kid, but I'm sitting there. I have to be rigid. I have to be on my P's and Q's, or else I'm gonna fall. So it's hard fighting yourself because some people really don't want to change to be that negative environment that they're in. So it was hard. It was hard. I gave up a little piece of myself because I wanted to survive. Not just survive like I'm looking over my shoulder. I wanted to survive and be able to walk out my cell and feel comfortable enough to, I know no one's gonna bother me. Oh, that's Tyree. He's on that type of time because he wants to survive. And some people don't get that. Like, you have to give a little part. Not saying you gotta sell your soul or go crazy and get into a lot of BS. You just gotta kind of like find the equal ground to it. You know what I mean?
No, that's what's up. And I feel like that's what we have to do on a daily basis as Black and brown people in our communities. But I'm sure it's compounded more when you're behind those walls. And as you're talking about that, I'm just thinking about, shifting. What does that do for your how did you support your mind shift with that? Did you have somebody? Did they offer any mental health support to you? Like, what did you do to like keep your mind fresh and to survive?
At first I tried the whole go talk to a counselor if you're feeling like you're having a bad day, or just stressing about you not seeing your family. I tried that when I was 17. I was in a youth jail. They were like, oh, talk to a counselor. So I'm like, all right, that seems like a reasonable thing to do because I'm young. They should be able to give me information. It was a complete opposite. It was literally, oh, well, I think you should do this, that, and they just sent me back. Oh, no good advice. They just sent me back home. Like, you'll be fine. We see a lot of you kids, knuckleheads that get these cases, and y'all still do whatever. That's the vibe I got off of them. So when I found out that wasn't working, I went a couple times to try to see if I could get a different one to help me out. It wasn't like that. It was like, you're just the same. Pretty much the same Black kid in the system that we see every day. So I'm looking like, all right, cool. So how I'm going to do this? It kind of falls on yourself. It was me. So it's kind of like after that fails, because they don't give that proper support for young Black teens in jail, even Puerto Ricans and etc. They don't give it to you. So you either got to have a good support system that you call every day that's willing to put that effort to keep your mind straight, which is hard because they got lives too. So you can't sit there and talk to them for hours like, oh, mom, like, I'm going through this, that, this. They got to work to help you survive in jail and also maintain their lifestyle. So you got to figure out a way how to cope with the failures of the counseling in the situation that you're in. So it was tough for me. I just did it for myself. I just had to learn very hard. Like, it was trial and error. Like, I see something, I can't act out a certain way because I go to say. I can't tell somebody or a CEO, like, hey, having a tough day, they'll just tell me, so what? You should never do what you did. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, this is typical for you guys. I had CEOs tell kids, like, my age, shut up, you're all right. You're used to this. I seen another kid like you. You're gonna be back 2 years from now or 6 months. So it's bad when it comes to like for Black minority kids.
Wow. It's like they desensitized and they dehumanize you at the same time.
Absolutely.
And I'm just thinking about, and then they wonder why there's so much mistrust in the medical profession as you going to them for support and they gave you the complete opposite. But you were able to cope in a way that you said, I'm going to fight and I got to figure this out and I'm going to get the support for myself. And it also sounds like you had a huge support with your family. And one of the huge things that I think about as I remember when my little one was inside is, like you said, it's on a time frame. My mental health or my thoughts or my hardships are not on a time frame. So like, I know that phone calls only happen at certain times. And so when I'm at my darkest hour, after 10 o'clock, I can't call nobody.
Absolutely.
But
yeah, like, that's another thing I feel to help, like, people stop being desensitized or at least just helping them. I feel like they should check on him, especially at a young age. Like, I get their point of view when they're like, oh, you're older, you should know better. But kids that are between 15 to like even 21, I would extend it to check on them. Send like a counselor. In my opinion, I feel like that's what could have changed to probably help me not really give them as much as I did to survive. Because when you do give them that peace, it sometimes takes you down a road that you look at yourself like, damn, so now you're, it's like, it's like your dad's putting way much on your mental. Because you're like, oh my God, like I just did this, that, this to survive. I fought this person because this happened. And they're not having like taking a rest. Your brain doesn't take a rest when you make those choices. Mm-hmm. So when the counselor goes home at 5 o'clock, you're like, man, I did this at 6 o'clock, so I can't talk to him because the phones are off or I'm locked down myself. So like, who can I talk to? Because your cellmate might not be no one that you want to talk to. Like, he's not going to have you because he's doing his own knucklehead stuff. Like, mm-hmm. So I feel that would have helped a lot of kids that was my age. Like, how to have a smoother transition by checking on, like, at nighttime, like 10 o'clock. Okay, how you doing? Like, talk to me. You know what I mean? Just to give them some type of, like, comfortability as much as they can for their mental.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
As you're saying that, as you're growing from a young person into adulthood, and you're saying, I can't talk to my cellie because of whatever reason. Did you have somebody on the inside that you looked to as like a mentor or somebody who was like, let me talk to you for a second?
I did. His name was Priest. That was my boy. He's from like New Haven. And he was like, probably at the time I was fresh 18. And like, he just took a liking to me. He was like, yo, come here, let me talk to you. And he'll like school me because he tells me my first time in jail. I'm mad, I'm always stressing. So he just always talked to me, try to keep my mind sharp. And was like, don't fall victim to what's going on. He was very like pro inmate. Because not only it's mainly Black young teens, but they were doing to a lot of young kids in general. So he was like a lot of like, you gotta take control of what's going on as much as you can. Like, like read this to help me kind of like, that was another thing towards my mental. He would always keep my mind sharp. Read this. Let me talk to you about this. How do you feel about what's going on just in the world? Just to keep my mind going so I'm not just going along with what's going on. These heroes mistreat me. No, he's telling me like, speak up. It's all right. There's so much that they're gonna do to you. But as long as you voice your opinion, you're like, or what's going on is wrong. Eventually, somebody has to listen. The CEOs wouldn't pop doors and all that stuff, and we'd get mad. But a lot of kids wouldn't know the procedures to all right, this year they pop me out. I gotta call my mom at this certain time because she goes to work for the rest of the day. And that affects a lot of kids. Being that young, because they're trying to talk to their mom, I need $20 to eat. But these CEOs are not popping the door because another person across the pod is acting up. Oh, we're not opening the door. So again, they're trying to treat everybody in the pod the same when there's kids in there that never did this before. Never even been in jail. It's the first time they made a mistake, and they're kind of like adding extra stress for no reason. So with him, preachers always keep me my head down and teach me a lot of stuff. So yeah, preacher was a big part of my bed in the beginning.
That's what's up. It sounds like preacher was helping you expand your mind and think about some things to free yourself, even though you were in a space and an environment that was toxic.
Yeah, I love preach. He was a short dude too. He was cool. But he'd always like just check on me, like even if like I stayed in the cell, I used to do that sometimes. I used to be a little depressed. I'm like, damn, all right, cool. I'm gonna stay here for the night. So he'll come to my door, like, what you doing? No, I'm gonna stay and watch TV. He's like, nah, come walk with me. He was like 40, maybe like just early 40s. He's like, nah, come take a walk with me. Then you come back in the cell. And he makes sure he'll talk to me about something to keep my mind going. So I used to always appreciate that. I used to look forward to it. Like, yo, preacher, we walking? Yeah, come on, we're gonna walk. We're gonna spin around the yard, talk for the whole hour and a half. Just me and him. And then some other brothers will come through, hear our conversation. Oh, what y'all talking about? Oh, we're talking about this. Oh, yo, you know about this? Start teaching me off the strength of him, because they're like, oh, that's your man. Oh, yeah, he's cool. How old is he? Oh, he's 18. He's like kind of that big brother. Like, so they'll take interest in me. Like, okay, cool. Now do you know about this? And teach me a lot of stuff. Kept me a lot. Actually, for a good year, because we got separated, for a good year and a half, like he was like my like calm space. Like after talking to my family, and he'll make me like relax. Like it's gonna be out. So preach, shout out to him. He was a really big part.
That's just like, shout out to preach. One of the things, and that's important, as I'm thinking about it, is about a sense of community. And as we think about those who we can connect with, because we have our family, and I know you had a lot of family support.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's important, that you have that brother, or that sister, or that person that you can lean on during those times to kind of carry you through the darkness.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm grateful though. Grateful. Just thinking back about it, he was that guy.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about, you talked about your family and the importance, because I know that it is important that you stay connected to your family support. Those phone calls take you outside. Those phone calls bring a lot of peace to you. And I'm just thinking about you. How long were you behind the walls?
7.5 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it was. It was. You know what's crazy? It doesn't feel like it though. As thinking about it, I'm like, I think about something. I'm like, wow, that was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
7 years ago. I remember like, I'm like, I feel like yesterday. Like that's how programmed I ended up being, because like it was normal to be in that space. Like I wake up, okay, I'm with a whole bunch of guys, CEOs, yeah. So for a while, it took me a little minute to get adjusted to actually being in the real world.
Yeah, let's go there. Because we'll take a step back, but tell me a little bit about that. How is it, or how has it been to adjust as you've come out?
It was hard. It was fun though. But it was good because like I don't have to do certain things. I can eat anything at 9 o'clock in the morning instead of waiting until 12. And just be my own independent person was really a blessing. I was like, man, I miss this. This is what humans are like.
When you're able to step out and you're like, you know what? I can do what I want.
Yeah, it was great. Just not having somebody like staring at me, like you gotta take a shower, you gotta do this. I'm like, it just felt good just to be able to wake up and just do nothing on my account. So it was great.
Was there anything that was a struggle for you since you returned home?
Electronics. Did not know for a while how to really met. When people text me, I'm like, what's that mean with smiley face and all this? I'm like, Okay. So that with like computers and like just kind of like talking to people a certain way was kind of difficult at first, but then I got into it.
That's what's up. I hear that a lot from folks first returning home. It's like technology sometimes has changed over the time that they've been away. So.
Yeah, so sometimes today I still looking like, I don't know how to do that.
You can learn or something, you know what I mean? Or it's okay not to know. That's the hugest thing, right? It's just like, it's all right. You know, somebody will teach you.
Yeah, but I'd be like, oh, that's too complicated. Okay.
Exactly. Forget about it. I wanted to take a step back and think about how is your family doing as far as coping? Like, you're 17, you got 8 years. How did that, you know, like, at that time, people are thinking about what is the next steps for my young person? Are they going to school, or are they getting this job, or what is, you know, what's going to happen? How do you feel that was an impact on, you know, your mom, dad?
They took it hard. Like, you know what's crazy? I didn't find out how hard it was until I got out. And they told me a lot, like, because I'm thinking, like, it's hard, yeah. You know what I mean? But life goes on. So I'm thinking, oh, they're sad, you know what I mean? So I didn't really think much of it because I'm so young and not really understanding it. But then when I came home and how, like, devastated my grandma was, she, like, wasn't eating, she wasn't doing the normal things. And I'm looking like, wow, I'm in jail thinking, like, everything's not that bad. But to realize, like, my sister was affected by it. She was, what, 9 when I was home? And she was heartbroken. Like, she didn't really, like, associate with people. Like she just couldn't really function when I first went in until, you know, my mom helped her out. My mom took it very hard because she came to visit me on my birthday, like the first 2 weeks I was in jail, and she couldn't stop crying. And I'm looking, still being young, not really grasping my situation. But my mom knows because she's older and she's been through a lot of stuff. So I'm still looking at my mom's gonna be all right. We'll be home, we're gonna be fine. She's, yeah, we will, but she's bawling, crying. My brother took it very hard. Very start, like, it was just bad. And it took me a while until I got out of jail to really realize how much going to jail really affected my family. So I was like, wow, I was heartbroken even hearing how my grandma was, because, you know, I love my grandma most of the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I came out, she was so skinny.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, how are you like this? My mom was like, she didn't do nothing but drink. So I'm like shocked, like, wow, like, my one situation, my one choice to follow somebody affected a lot of people. So yeah, it broke my heart. It took me a while to really realize it though. So it was hard. It makes me sad thinking about right now to this day. But
yeah, I can see. And I know how much love and support that your family was wrapping around you. And how many of us were like, we want to go see Tyree. And you were like, no, you can't come see me because I don't want to be lectured, or I don't want to, someone that we may know, but it doesn't matter. And like you said, it does affect the family, right? It's affecting you while you're inside, but it's definitely an impact on the family. And I'm just so happy that everybody is well and doing okay. And that as you come home, that the family unit is still centered and doing well.
yeah, like, you know what? I would like to say this too while I was young. It's like a lot of young kids at my age, and still these younger kids, they don't understand, like, when you go out to do something, they never think about, oh, my mother, how's she gonna feel if I go ahead and just shoot somebody and not go to jail for something? Like, they never, because I was one of those kids, I'm out there doing whatever. Like, yeah, whatever, we're down, we're cool, we're in the streets, we're banging, whatever. But not once did I think about, hey, how am I gonna, like, react to me going to jail if I get caught up doing what I'm doing? So a lot of younger kids, they never get that side of the story when they're in the street. They be like, yeah, go ahead and do that. Pick this gun up. Something's packed. these older dudes that wants nothing but negativity from them never really tell them, like, bro, if you pick up that gun and shoot this man, how's your mom gonna feel? They never say that because they want them to do straight negative. Instead of, like, at least give, I feel like I get this situation where, like, tell them what's up. I mean, if you don't want to change, at least give them all the knowledge before you make this kid go do something, because they might not want to do it because they love their mother, or their grandma's the only thing they got, or that I'm the only thing that she got. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of kids never know the true story of how the streets really work.
I'm just pausing right now just because what you're saying is so real, and I'm just thinking about, you're right. You know, many of our black and brown youth look up to those folks, the drug dealers, the people who's getting money in the town or in their area. And so it's like, how can they do something that can enrich them? And I'm just thinking about what you just said was extremely powerful. And as someone that knows where you're from and what's available to you, which is not much of anything, what are your thoughts about, you know, alternatives, right? Because if I need to do certain things to survive, what is an alternative for me? What you know what I mean? Like, what are some things do you think need to change on the outside to help?
I have to say consistency, and actually like the genuine love for the community. I seen, like, all right, you see a kid doing something wrong, take the time out and teach a kid something, like, you know what I mean? Teach them a skill, teach them just anything. Like, I feel like there's not enough people actually taking the time out. They rather complain than help the kid. They see a kid in the street, breaking the window every day for 3 days straight, and they'll just look like, he's back at it again. Maybe that kid just needs somebody to talk to. Like, his home situation is horrible. His mom don't listen, she's drunk, she's on drugs, or she beef with her boyfriend, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes I feel like to help the black youth, or just kids in general that's in these terrible situations, is consistency, communication, and kind of just like giving them an outlet to express themselves the proper way, instead of grabbing a gun, breaking a window, or robbing cars because it makes them feel like something. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, my dad made me mad, I'm gonna go rob him. You know what I mean? Just something, like, give these kids something and be consistent. If you start something, you gotta see it through. Like, if you start with this kid just taking him to the park every Sunday to shoot hoops just because it makes him feel good, you continue that until, like, you feel like he's ready and kind of understand what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like, understand, okay, this person actually cares. And he can pass the message on to his friends, like, yo, if we play basketball, we'll be straight. Or if we study, we can become doctors. How do you know that? Oh, this person in my neighborhood took the time out to teach me something. To actually, like, yo. So I feel like for that would help the community get better. Because you're not just being one day, and the next 2 weeks you're nowhere to be found because you don't feel like doing it. So, like, kids don't want to wait for that. They want consistency. They want you to finish what you started. If that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. It's almost like when they have these programs that only last for a certain amount of time, or they have these events that are annual, which are good, but where is the consistency, and then where is also the time and the effort, you know, to spend time with somebody and to really invest in them so that they are feeling good.
Let me say that again. I'm trying to formulate science. So we're like to invest the time for them?
Yeah, I'm saying what you said earlier as far as, like, you know, be consistent. So if you say that you're going to be there for somebody on a Sunday and shoot hoops or have conversations with them, that you want to make sure that you're continuing to do that it's not just this thing that begins and then just fades away, right? Because then that lets somebody down because they were thinking that we had this thing going, like, what's up with that? Or this program, it only lasted for 2 weeks. What happened? Like, I got in the rhythm. I trust you. We've been building. Now all of a sudden it's gone.
I feel, okay. I just feel as though, like you said, the big programs, they could be cool. And it's like, I feel like everybody gets wrapped up in the whole, oh yeah, we're doing something big. But if they take that big thing and turn it small, like, you know what I mean, have, like we was talking earlier, like a community center that they rent out, or a gym, or a space, that becomes more consistent instead of, okay, it's March 10th every year for the next 10 years or 20 years. That's one day out the year. Kids between 15, they're moving every day. So why they gotta wait for one day out the year to get that big grand scale help when they can downsize it, so now it becomes a Monday through Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because we want a community center that we rent out. You know what I mean? Just, okay, Monday we're doing schoolwork and we're helping tutoring, getting these kids a type of like academic help. So now Wednesday comes, it's kind of like a mental health check, like, oh, it's just strictly like counselors or volunteers that just want to help kids. Like, yo, talk to me, how was your day today? What did you learn in school? You know, kind of like giving that parents the extra help. But people don't like to take that time to make it consistent. They want to make it a big hoorah. And everybody come snap pictures and we're doing it for the community. No, kids don't need that. They need not every day, but at least 3 times out of the week of somebody that was to care about them and show them that there's more to life than just being at home, on the block, or wherever anybody's at. Just kind of like, yeah, just downsizing and making it more consistent. That's what I think.
I love it. I love what you're saying. Like, in every avenue, right? It's even, like you just said, supporting the parents. I just love what you said. And I'm just thinking about, too, even in school systems, it could be carceral, too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They got the school to prison pipeline. They got police in schools, just thinking about safety for our young people while they're in school, whether they're behind the walls. And so what you're bringing up is just an amazing point.
I grew up, like, 'cause my mom used to work a lot, obviously, but it's like a lot of decisions would have been changed for me if I would have had the extra help, the extra resources, to back my mom when she's working 40 hours a week, and my grandma's taking care of 3 kids, but she still has to work or do certain things. I feel like if people would just take the time, you don't got to spend a lot of money. Even if it's just one person, it all can trickle down. So if you're giving non-super, like, I hang out mad, like 9, 10 of us in the group. If somebody would have taught me something positive, like, if you do this, that, and this, you and your friends can get to the point where y'all go out to eat because they're teaching you how to do something positive, still trying to break into the store, steal candy. We all got candy.
Yeah.
But I can go to jail. You see what I'm saying? So now if you teach me something that's positive, like, well, if you guys work over here or work for me, cut my lawn, whatever, I go out to eat. That's teaching me something that I can teach my friends, like, I just cut the yard for like $50. You come do it with me, we'll have 100. Because we're learning something new, so now it's trickling down. Like, a lot of people fail to realize, like, if you teach one person something, they'll get to where they need to get to. Especially you, because everybody, the kids, we talk, text, FaceTime, call, I just did this. Now you lit, like, you amped, like, somebody took the time out to show me something good. That's going to benefit all of us. Because I'm teaching, they're teaching me, and I'm teaching the next person. So I feel like that would help a lot too in the community.
That's what's up. And I think, you hit it right in the head. Like, resources are needed. You talk about parents needing to work and not being able to be around all the time to support a family. What resources, you brought up beautiful examples. Is there any other resources that you feel like we don't need to wait upon, but we could just build? Like counseling and stuff, or like open gym. I feel like open gyms and like just more centers, more. You gotta open the community because you gotta think there's a lot of buildings that we know a lot of people.
So there's some way to get something done, just like you find a way to do something negative. So if I know somebody works in the gym, hey, you think if you talk to your boss that we can open this gym up, I think that'd be a resource. Or just even like bringing kids knowledge, like, yo, here's a pamphlet because me and my people are doing this on this day. Just like how church does, like Sunday service. It's kind of like we have counseling or just motivational speaking on Mondays, or like just all different type of things to attract the youth, like, you know what I mean, keep their attention going. So if we have like motivational speaking, even culinary to teach the kids something, like, we do culinary on Friday. Certain kids will love that because they're home 14 and learning how to cook, so they're like, oh, if I go to culinary on Friday, I can learn how to cook. I mean, stuff like that I think would be a good resource.
That's dope. Let's do it.
I'm with it.
All right.
I can do the website.
I think that's so important though, because just off the dome, we're just talking about some things that we can set in motion for a small community that is in desperate need of that support. So
Absolutely.
I'm with it.
Even math is another thing too, another resource. Kids hate math.
Right here.
I was one of them. There's a lot of kids out there that hate math, but there's a lot of adults that love math, that love teaching math. So again, let's not do culinary, math on Thursday. I take all class, you know what I mean? If you need extra help, I'm a tutor to help you learn math, because a lot of kids, they're not good with math. So when they get a job, when they're trying to talk about investing and stuff like that, they're never gonna know because they don't like numbers. They don't like nothing else. Oh, I gotta add this and subtract this. No, these kids need to be taught how to do math and what numbers really is about. So that's another resource I think would be good for the community.
No, you're right. I think because if you learn how to invest and you learn and you believe that you have the ability to invest to create generational wealth for you and your family,
absolutely,
that's what's up, and that's what would make our Black and brown communities more powerful.
That's another thing they don't teach in school that I just kind of like a little dive into, because like the Black community never know about investing, or like, if you do this, get life insurance and borrow from that. There's a lot of stuff that they don't teach young Black kids, or just even minorities, period. And I feel like that as the older community, the older Black community, minority community needs to start teaching that, because they do, some of them do know about it, but like, if I'm 14, I don't know about investing, but this white kid knows about investing, because you know why? Somebody's taking time to share the knowledge. And I think that's what our community needs, like more minorities and more educated people to show them the way of the world.
You're right. Beautiful points. Having classes for our youth and our communities of all ages, because it does start somewhere. So wherever we can tap into, where that somebody has that expertise and knowledge and is sharing that, that's building. That's building a foundation.
Absolutely. It starts with us, because if we, everybody says the kids are the future, so why don't we teach them? Like, why don't we show them that we always preach, my son is going to be this, that, and this, but next thing you know, he's not getting the proper information, the proper attention, the proper talks that he needs to actually be the future. I feel like that's what we're missing. I feel like I needed that when I was younger. I was 14, 15, like, bro, you're doing too much. You need to do this and learn this. But we'll get there one day.
We're on our way right now, because we're talking about it. We're sharing it with our community members right now. And so I think about how it's going to take all of us. So from our elders to our youth, to have these collective conversations and to teach and to learn from one another.
Yeah, because you can learn, even being older, you can learn from somebody younger, and vice versa, the same thing. You don't got to be too prideful to learn something.
Right.
That's how I did it. I used to be prideful. You too old, but they actually show me something, and I show an older gentleman something too. They're like, wow, like you're this age and you're teaching me something. Yeah, we can learn from each other. It's a give and take. Like, somebody don't want to have to drill somebody with knowledge. You can be like, okay, what do you got to show me? And sometimes the kids will surprise you, like, oh wow, I never knew that. So it's like that open communication and just knowledge being shared.
Wisdom comes in all generations, right?
Absolutely.
So we've been talking for a bit. I just wanted to take a step back though. knowing what you know, because you said, we're talking about wisdom, right? Knowing what you know now, and that comes with time and your experiences. What do you believe in a broken carceral system, like prison, needs to be created for young people?
I would have to say, like a safe space, like somewhere to go to like bed, but not like get the average, you know, just go there, you talk to somebody that doesn't know what you're really going through. Like, I feel like they need to create a space, excuse me, where they can relate to that's been in that situation or has somebody that's been in that situation, that they can give the proper advice, like a program where like this counselor is like, okay, I know what you're going through because my son went through it. Mm-hmm. To give that proper advice, because if I go in this safe space that they're making with somebody that doesn't understand me, it's just not going to work. Because when you're in jail, you want that one little space that makes you feel normal. So I feel like for the youth, that would be a nice thing to do, like a program where people can go, even if it's not even a counselor, just somebody that volunteers, that knows what this kid is going through because their son's going through it, their brother, their mother, whatever. Just to get that off their chest and actually get the proper response in for their emotions and how they're feeling and how to cope with all this stress and depression and whatever else comes with being in jail. That's what I feel like needs to be done. Just a nice, safe, comfortable, kind of like an expression room. You know what I mean? Just to express, but also get the response that you need and comfort to know that somebody's been in the same spot as you.
That's dope. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, because all you got is your emotions and your thoughts and four walls. So it's like you can talk to yourself about so much and you're silly. So it's like when somebody comes in with a better look and a better way of things and that comfortability because they've been there, not only will you get the better response, they will, because now typical counselors or people that volunteer, they're talking normally, but they'd be like, well, the book says this, that, and this. They're gonna look at you like, really, the book? Mm-hmm. Did you go through this? No, I've never been through this. Have your brother, your son? No, we never been through this. I went to school for this. They're looking like, I can't really talk to you. Or I get the proper response, but some volunteer comes in, yeah, I did this, that, and this, or my son did it. They'll get the proper openness to them so that way both parties get what they're looking for.
No, I hear you. It's about authenticity. I can't even say the word. Authenticity, right? It's through like lived experience. So you could have a book that's diagnosing me or telling you this is how I should feel or this is how I should move or operate. But the book is not me. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for us to have a conversation, and it makes more sense for me to have a conversation who can relate to what I've been through, and not just looking at, oh, well, on page 7 in paragraph 4, it says that, I think that's an amazing point. You know, if I'm searching for the support that I need, it's more likely going to come from somebody who has had lived experience and understands what I'm dealing with right now.
And to add to that, what else they need, I feel like the youth needs more access to their family. But not just talking on the phone, but I feel like they should get because when I was locked up, I was behind the class. And so you get to a certain point, but that takes a long time, excuse me, before you get to the point of hugging your family. I feel like there should be a time where your family can come on a Sunday for like an hour. You know what I mean? Sit down in a room like this where they can hug you when they want to. You can get that big, long hug without somebody cut it off because you're too close or you're gonna pass something. I feel like for the youth, they need that still that loving nature because they're still kids. I was still a kid, so I wanted that hug when I was feeling down. So I feel like in the youth prison, they need to have more time because I feel that's very relevant to how they proceed through jail and see how it's gonna be all right and you can still be positive versus just, I see my mom once a week or behind the glass. It's like I feel like that hinders their growth while being in a certain situation that they're in.
No, that's a huge point. And I think, as your brain is still developing and you're trying to still find your way into adulthood, and being isolated and not with, whether that's blood family or people who are supportive of you. I think that those are missed opportunities of support that you're needing when you're in such an environment that you like. It's like chaos. You're figuring out how to cope and manage what you just went through. You're not quite an adult. You're still navigating. You're in a space that you know nobody. You got to figure out, how do I move and operate? Whether this is my first time being in or whatever time it is. It's something that you got to set your mind up for. And it's something that you need people to be able to be supportive with you. And being isolated and separated from the people that, you've been around since you were a baby.
Absolutely.
Has to be jarring and difficult. So I hear what you're saying. It's more opportunities to be loved up on.
Yeah, everybody needs some love, especially at the young age. Like, because they're scared, so it's like you're scared. You're like, oh, where am I going to? My mom or my father, right? So I feel like that's why, like, you used to be in jail, they act up bad because they're not giving that proper love. Yeah, they talk to you, but I feel like that's what they need, is that hour or two just to have your mom come into jail, sit there, hug you, tell you it's gonna be all right, just to feel her presence, or your father's presence, or your sister, whoever else takes care of your grandma. Like, I feel like that would be a prevalent part of like their growth. Like, okay, cool, I can get through this. Like, my mom got my back, or whoever is their support system. And I feel like it'd be smoother for jail too, because they don't have this kid violent, punching another kid in the face because they just want to go home. Like, that would be something that I think they should integrate into the young prison system. Like, give them a chance to continue getting that love like they was home. I think that would be very, very good for them.
Definitely, because it sounds like you're speaking to not only the support that you need, but there were some conditions that when you were in a youth prison that may or may not have been different from adult prison.
It's crazy because youth prison was more violent. And it's surprising to say because, again, the emotions, they're not coping with nothing in the right way, so now they're fighting all day long. Just off of just you brushing by them, and the fight started. Like, you're like, damn, you just brush by you, but they're so hyped up on this stress, their anxiety, and all the extra stuff. It's like they just can't cope. Versus a men's prison, it's like a little more chill, that they got a little more grasp on their mental, whether it be good or bad. But I just feel as though like kids just need that expression to get off their chest, and sometimes they don't like to talk to themselves. They want to talk to their support system. Their people. Like, mom, like, I'm mad today. Like, I'm ready to take on the whole world. And your mom's gonna talk you off that cliff. Like, nah, like, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna be good. But imagine that in person. And then you're believing it because you're seeing your mom's like love and affection. Like, okay, it's gonna be all right. But yes, youth prisons are violent.
Wow. I was wondering if we were going to be able to get into that, because I'm just thinking about, is there a difference? And if you could, it sounds like there is, and you kind of express that.
Yeah, it's definitely just kids that don't know what's going on in this prison system, and the men that just been through 100 times. They already kind of got past that wilding out emotional phase because they've been here like 3 or 4 times in their youth. So they're like, oh, third time, they're like, it's normal. So when they become an adult, it's even more normal. Like, I kind of joke all the time. And they're kind of like more chilled out because, again, when you're older, you got a better handle on your emotions. So with them being young, it's like, whatever. I'm with whatever. You say I look ugly, I'm fighting you. I'm like, dang, it's not even that serious.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's young people doing young people stuff, right? Even when you're inside or outside, you're going through so much because your brain is still developing. You've got impulses. You're just moving on emotions, And I still know some adults who are still working on that too. But I'm just thinking about, yeah, it's teenagers doing what teenagers do. And so there needs to be some additional thought to that and some support.
Absolutely. Without that, they're just going to be just mindless soldiers doing whatever and falling victim to whatever the older one, because eventually you get to those big prisons. So if you don't got a handle on what you got, they'll prey on you. I'll go beat them up. Go steal this. And these kids without that guidance and that love, okay, this is normal. It's jail stuff. So it's tough.
It sounds like it is difficult. But it sounds like you had somebody, like you said earlier, who kind of said, come over here, young brother, and I'm going to give you what you need to expand your mind.
Absolutely. I had a lot of them though. Like preacher was just like the one that started like me expanding my mind, wanting to change, even being in a rough situation, because like I got to the preacher made me get to the point where I didn't want to hang out with people my own age. Because like they're not trying to learn nothing because they're dealing with their own stuff, not in the right way. So as I'm going through my bed, I'm meeting older people that are willing to help me. Like they're watching me, like, oh, this young kid look like he got a head on his shoulder. Like we just talked to him. I had my boy Prophet too. He was in RIP. He died too. Big Muslim brother, and he would talk to me every day. He was like 32 when I first met him. I'm like 20, but he wouldn't talk to nobody that was under 25. I'm 21. And he used to watch me how he handled, like how I carried myself was something that he want to take part in. Like, oh, this young kid, he looked like he's felt something. And then he came into my life and we used to do the same thing. He would just keep my mind on everything. Tyree, you can't sit around. You gotta learn something. You gotta do something that is gonna keep your mind sharp. So I would take to older people that was all about that. I was like a rare breed, pretty much. Being that young, I liked to learn something from older people that have been through the situation, and that's what willing to give me that time. But like, Tyree, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna go home. I had to tell them I'm gonna do great. You're gonna go home and do great, just because of who you are. So I had a lot of people that was actually can contribute to my growth as an inmate when I was in there. Because I could have went south. I could have went and been a knucklehead in and out of jail. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people helped me grow. Aside my support system out in the world. Yeah, my boy Prophet, he died, man. That was my boy. That was like my brother for real. He only wish I was straight and everything. I was kind of sad about it.
No, I mean, and that's it. And I don't know what caused his passing, but we were just talking earlier today about a brother that you knew that we actually created a petition for because he died in DOC, Brother Diddy, and you said that you knew him, and so it's just thinking about people who we love and who have passed behind the walls, and just so I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah, Diddy was. I'm mad that happened because he was a talent, and it's crazy because like CEOs, they really. I'm not gonna say all kind of messing some good CEOs. A lot of CEOs will tighten the cuffs on, push you around.
It's okay if you want to say all CEOs suck. I would agree with that.
I wouldn't. But nah, some of them it was nasty, and I can see like it doesn't surprise me that happened because one push by an inmate is cuffed up from the legs, and they can't really, when you fall, you can't really brace to the fall, like, or depending on how they push you, you're going straight down. So a lot of CEOs, it was nasty, racist, all of that. So it saddens me that I knew Diddy, like he was special when it came to music. So just to see that and like hear I'm like just DOC just getting worse and worse. I seen a lot of racist slurs. Like, get out of here. And these are supposed to be professionals that gotta watch you. So you gotta think about imagining for your kids that this is still happening. That they're coming and being this racist CEO because it's black. But getting to say like N-word, boo 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 along the line, it's like they don't care. And it's surprising how they still have jobs because some people complain, but it goes unheard of. Oh, just drop your complaint box. I mean, complaint box, and we'll work on it. Never gets done. nothing gets done. You can write 50 times that, oh, this CO did this, and nothing happens. The warden will see it. You even see the warden walking, like, yo, this CO did this today. And I did it a couple times. This CO, what did he do? He called me on my name first. Like, I wasn't wrong because he told me I do something. And I said, okay, I was being compliant. All right, you got me. It's cool. So he's like, oh, F this, F that. You know what I mean? Going great. So I'm like, all right, cool. He writes me up. I'm like, yo, I'll get ready for it. He's like, oh, he was being non-compliant, blah, 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 the whole spiel. So I wrote, he's like, yo, write the warden, they're gonna do something, I'm like, all right, cool, did that. 2 weeks go by, nothing. So I was like, all right, cool. The warden does like a tour every, once a month. I stopped him right when he's with the CO that had a problem. They still didn't do nothing. He's like, I'll talk to him later. And nothing happened. Not even nothing. They don't care. It's sad. You'll see, it's bad.
No, we get a lot of letters and calls where people tell us about the conditions on the inside. And so one of the things that is a continuous message is it's dehumanizing and people don't care. That's a theme. Whether that's from what you're saying around somebody being abusive in that manner or the medical neglect. And so it's just thinking about those types of things that it's hard to hear, but we know it's happening. And there's steps that people can take, but if no one's really moving on it, it doesn't make somebody feel like they want to go hard. And that's why advocacy is so important from the inside and from your peoples on the outside as well.
Yeah, it's big because they embarrass you, and they have these rules, right? It got to the point where one time being an advocate, the inmate population finally came together because they were strip search, right? And they do the bend over and spread your cheek thing. COs was taking it too far because you're not supposed to do it a certain way, but they would make you not to be nasty, spread your cheek more than you're supposed to. And that as a man, it's you're going too much. Oh no, I didn't see it. They'll keep making you do it just because they're sick. They like some of the SEALs like that. They like just to see a grown man do what you say off of words. So it gets bad. They will talk to you any type of way, everything. It's crazy in there. And that's the one experience I had really that made me feel low as a man because they were just doing it just to. It was them. They could I'll make this grown man bend over, spread his cheeks. That's not what you're supposed to do. And it's in the rule book too, to the point where I gave the inmate population at the time stood on it. We're not doing this no more. It took us people coming from court and really going to bat with these SEALs. Nah, I'm not doing it. And it's 5 to 10 of them versus these 2 SEALs telling them we're not doing it. So that's the only time it really changed something in that type of way.
Yeah. It sounds like the humiliation and folks being tired of being mistreated was what made folks come together to take a stance.
Yeah, it spread like wildfire because it was in Hartford when it initially started because I was going through that court too. So I was I'm with it too because I'm 20 years old. These grown white men got me doing this when it's clearly in the rules, literally on the wall how the strip search procedure is supposed to be, and they're doing complete opposite. So once that one group stood up, it's nah, we're not doing this. They're kind of all right, behave it now. We're not doing this, and they finally listened to it because now it's even Hartford, Bridgeport courts. They're all doing the same thing. We're not doing that. And then took a Muslim brother to actually speak on the behalf of the prisoners. We're not doing that. We're men. I get y'all got a job to do, but we are men that you guys are overusing this rule when it's supposed to be just a little up, and that's it, and just keep pushing. You're taking it too far at that point. So that brother actually stood up and actually spoke out for the inmate population, and it worked. They stopped doing it everything.
I guess one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, we started out in this interview where I was asking you when we were talking about how the media villainized you and during your trial and your sentencing. I'm just wondering, for today, is there anything that we don't know that you want folks to know about your experience?
Number one, I would say I'm not a monster, like how they portray me to be, because they don't know me. Like, the media just took what one side of the situation's feelings was, which is it's valid, but you don't know me as a person. You didn't know the full situation, especially the media. They like to take little bits and pieces of what they're hearing and just put it together. So I feel like they prejudged me, which granted I get it, but I feel like they should have just did a little more homework on what type of kids we were. I'm speaking for all of us because we're all not bad. You know what I mean? We made horrible decisions, but I feel like they should have did more to kind of like keep it neutral instead of kind of like weighing all these minority kids doing this to this white man. I feel they could have gave us a little bit more of a chance on our characters instead of just dragging us through the mud completely. And I feel like after my experience, I'm a better person, to be honest. I feel like, and I say this all the time, my girl will tell you, like, I feel that if I didn't go through jail, I don't think I'd be the man I am today. And that's just how I feel, because I was living reckless when I was younger. So like meeting all those older brothers teaching me stuff and actually learning what life is really about, like it made me who I am today.
That's what's up. Who are you as a man today?
My name is Tyree. Bundy. I'm a young black entrepreneur, and I'm going to be a motivational speaker soon.
I see it in you.
Appreciate you.
We've been building and talking all day, and I just appreciate in your transformation. I mean, I've known you since you were a young brother, since you were like, and I appreciate seeing your journey, and I've always seen something special in you. And just to hear what you want to do for the community is powerful, and I appreciate it. And I know that everybody in our small little town is going to appreciate it too.
Of course, I don't know. I just like, I always thought about it. I think I'm just late to the party because it's like I want to help a kid like me, because I could have went somewhere in college for basketball or something like that, but I never had that one person that was like gonna really like, Tyree, you gonna do it, because I want to help you get there, and like not want nothing from you. I want to be that person in the community where like, yo, that's Tyree. Like, yo, if you talk to him, he'll try to help you as best as he can with what he got, and not want nothing back. So I feel like that's where I want to go with the community, and want to be like, take my journey in that direction.
Do it with some integrity and without the exploitation of it, of like what we were talking about earlier. Right?
Yeah, because you feel better, and you don't need to have the cameras on you to do something good. You don't need somebody to be like, oh, you're doing a great job. Who cares what they think? Because you know who's going to really care? That person that you're talking to. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be like, damn, 10 years now, they're like, oh man, Tyree helped me do this, or this person helped me get past this part of my life, and they're always going to remember you. So you don't need the lights, the cameras, the whatever you want. You got to have that one person believe in you. You changed my life. That's what I want. It's just, I feel like the community needs that multiple one person for every one kid out there. Like, oh, he changed my life. She changed my life. And that's what I think people need.
I think the one who's going to get it.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate, it sounds like you've got a team already. Between speaking to you and your girl earlier, I can already see, so.
Yeah, we're gonna work this out.
So I thank you for your time today. I'm just wondering, is there anything that we might have left out that you feel is important before we wrap up today's episode?
Each one teach one. I feel like the message I want to leave out there is just like, whenever you hear this podcast and you done listen to it thoroughly, try to go out there and make somebody or make somebody's day, or try to change somebody's opinion about life or their skin color or anything. Just try to make the world a little better, or your community a little more better.
That's what's up. Start with your community.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time, Tyree, and we will be having you, I'm sure, back to hear the wonderful things that you do in London and around the state. We just appreciate your time today.
I hope so, because I probably do that.
We won't keep this in, I guess. All right, we thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.